So good. So good. And what were your thoughts when you saw that, Michael?
Well, I was intrigued why Sweden, and then I saw that U.S. was what number 13 first, and then number 11, and I put a post out, and I said, yeah, so the U.S. is typically a little behind folks for getting things done. So, but yeah, I would not have guessed Sweden. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of
awesome.
soul family in Sweden too, and my ancestral lineage taps into Scandinavia.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah,
The whole
Marie's
kind of
based
thing.
in Sweden, and she's currently on a tour to Egypt. So I was like, maybe she's tapping into that energy vortex. She's got quite a tribe. She runs retreats in the north of Sweden, Norway, and Scotland. And yeah, she's with a bunch of ladies running a trip to Egypt. So yeah, and I actually did an event in Sweden to 2024. I did a book launch and event in Varberg, Sweden, where Marie's from. But I actually didn't meet Marie then. I met her online last year. So, and Ellie, what did you think? If you did you know we're number one in Sweden?
I
You
am
did know. Okay.
celebrating everything. I mean, I don't know much from that side of the world. I have my fingers crossed for US, but I'm
Do you know
happy
where
anyway.
Sweden is?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, nice. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure because I was in a bar once in the United States and I was like, I asked someone, it was 2011 and it was the Super Bowl and Green Bay were playing the Steelers. Packers were playing the Steelers. And I asked, I said, well, I know Pittsburgh, where are the Green Bay team from? And he goes, I don't know. And he asked someone else, and they went, I don't know. And then they asked the guy at the bar, and he goes, the Great Lakes, Vince Constant. And they're like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, cool. That's so awesome. And it's worth celebrating. But what is your inner knowing? What is your inner knowing? Leanne, what is it?
Your soul, your soul that you rediscover when you surrender. I can remember when I first started waking up, I was doing my Reiki Masters training in Zambia. And at the end of the first day, I picked up an angel card and it said surrender. Surrender's not about giving up, it's about giving in. And I started crying and I ended up sobbing for about 6 hours. Snot and tears, home, out in the garden with the kids. And that was the beginning of a long journey of surrender that continues to this day. What it is to really let go and control, surrender to soul, and embrace the wisdom of the all-knowing in whatever form label that appears. And
Embrace the wisdom. I just missed that last year. Embrace the wisdom,
of the all-knowing.
all knowing. I like that.
And it is when we can step into not knowing.
Yes, we can step into not knowing. Kiki, one of the other authors in the book, also talks about not knowing. Um, yeah, how's that for you? Oh, yes, we got you back, Leanne. So you're in the middle of a cyclone or like a weather storm.
Yeah, here in Aotearoa, we are on the edge of a cyclone, a lot of rain, a lot of washed out roads, but we're also at a time, there's turning over of time on our planet, and there's a lot to do with the element of water and the element of fire, and particularly in the southern hemisphere right now. Not just Aotearoa, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. It's washing, cleansing, and reharmonizing what's out of balance. A bit like us in reconnecting with our inner knowing, we need to come into alignment. And, you know, after 20 years now working with embodiment and evolution, the absolute foundation of our embodiment is unconditional love of self. So when working with people at any stage of their journey, the first thing we do is bring the bodies into alignment, the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body with the soul. Because most of us are living a life that's been programmed by a culture and a society that has another agenda rather than fulfilling our soul walk and soul service on the planet. So we have to actually, instead of the mind and the programs leading the earth walk, the soul's responsible for that. Our soul knows who we are, where we came from, what our earth walk is about. And through our soul, we have access to all of our gifts. So the first process that I usually take people through is an alignment process of physical, mental, emotional body, the earth team, with soul as leader. And in that earth team of physical, mental, and emotional body, there's actually no leader. There's no hierarchy. They need to come into a synergy of working together with one another. You know, I'm not this body, I'm not this emotions. Well, actually, we are here in a body. And our personality has a responsibility to take care of the body. And the emotions, if we're bypassing them or disassociating from them, we're not going to be in our body. And through our body, we have access to our cities and senses beyond our five senses, which taps us into that all-knowing, the greater wisdom that is all around us all the time and in our environment. So when we align our physical, mental, emotional body with soul and have soul as leader, it course corrects our earth walk. And we step from fate into destiny. And the magic of what that unfolds. And as we said, that's when we learn to step into the unknown and ultimately learn to live in the not knowing from a place of deep listening. And that's when we can hear our soul. We can hear that inner knowing. And that will guide us on the most incredible journey, unlike any other. And although I had to tear my own heart out to get to that, gosh, it's been worth every tear. And the discovery continues.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Very beautiful. I love that. And yeah, what was that like? Was it kind of like an ego death?
The first of many. It's
Oh,
a
okay,
bit like
right.
it's a bit like that first dark night of the soul when you think,
Okay.
God, will it ever end? Because it's often the longest and the deepest and the most painful.
Yeah.
But you know, after the second or third, you kind of get the hang of it, and it's like, okay, come on in. What needs to unpack now? What do I need to let go of?
Yeah.
Thought forms, belief systems, patterns of behavior, old memories and trauma from this timeline or others, on planet, off planet, whatever it is, it all needs unpacking. And the more we unpack, the more we set ourselves free. You know, people walk around in the matrix thinking they are free because they've been told this is what freedom is. Yet we only experience freedom when we truly unplug and let go and de-armor and let go of all that we're doing to distract and disassociate from sensing and feeling everything. You know, I got told so many times, you are too sensitive, you're oversensitive. Well, little didn't I know, my sensitivity is my superpower. And when
100%,
I honor
right?
that, wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's a revelation within itself. And I see you nodding there, Michael. You've had a similar journey and story to uncover your inner knowing.
Yeah, my own version of it, but I resonated quite a bit with a number of things that Leanne said, beginning with surrender, the ability to begin to allow things in your life. The For me was accepting the sound of my own voice as my authority, being able to set my boundaries and my limits, noticing all the things that have been put in my own way, whether it was by, societal expectations, parents, schools, or whatever, realizing that's not actually who I was. And that's things that I'm still unpacking and opening to, but coming back to just being as real as I possibly can. That includes owning all my emotions. Um, I think Brene Brown said there's like 187 emotions or something like that in her book Atlas of the Heart. That's an awful lot to get into. That gets a little bit confusing for me, but I want to own all of them because there's a richness in that, right? They're all there for a reason, and they're all there to help guide us. But we're afraid of them. We're more afraid of the feeling than whatever brought up the feeling, because we're taught to bury them and hide them and run from them and shame them or whatever it is. So yeah.
I love that. And what's inner knowing for you?
That has changed for me over time.
Mhm.
That has changed for me. It's definitely not this thing that goes, "Hey, left, you missed it." You know,
Right.
it's it's quiet. It's really subtle.
Yeah.
I used to mistake this excited feeling for, oh, this must be what I'm meant to do. And it was just excitement. So I chase excitement all over the place. But for me, it's very subtle, and I get just like a little like it's like my brother's passed on is whispering in my ear, and he's like, "Hey, whoa, 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 Shh, you got to slow down, right?" Because I'm a doer. I've pushed hard all my life to make things happen for myself, and in some ways that served me, in other ways it hasn't. But there's a stillness inside. The Cherokee have a word for it. It's in their language. It's called Tiowe, and that means the stillness inside, and that no one else can touch, no one else can find within you. And when I'm able to be more present with that, um, I feel in flow. I feel guided, and I feel available for whatever may come next.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. And the presence of spirit and your brother that passed, and then weaving in what Leanne had shared as well. And oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. And so much wisdom being shared, Ellie. What's your take on what's being shared? I think you
Yeah. So there's a lot of resonance with what they both said. When I think of inner knowing, I think of coming over here to this earth with a backpack. And then in this backpack, we have many tools to navigate this life. And we also have this manual. And so this manual has all the information that we would ever need. And for me, that is the manual of your inner knowing. But as Michael said, in order to know what's there, you have to make a pause and you have to find stillness. Just similarly to reading a book, you have to sit down and you have to pay attention. And so those moments when we have to make a decision, or especially when we have to make a decision, I believe that the answer is always there. We just have to go and tap into it. And so that's that. I have lately become familiar with something called parts work. Um, and so it just talks about the different parts of you. And I believe that's the part of you that always knows the answer, always knows what to do. But you have to sit down with it and listen to it. And it's all readily available.
Nice. I like that. I like it. And how can people tap into their inner knowing? Like we've got quiet, surrender, slow down, read the manual. What's like have you had like a direct experience where like something tangible that you could share, where it's like I was doing X, Y, Z, and then I was going to go this way, but because I paused, I listened, I surrendered, that I was actually went another way, and it turned out this way. Do you have anyone have a particular moment, Leanne?
One way that I discovered I already knew how to tap in, which I didn't reflect on until later, and that's through nature. Our systems are in perfection. We are in divine symmetry, as is nature. So when we take our system into nature, we are then informed by our environment, and it kind of clears out the clouds and the clutter that are disconnecting us or separating us from our soul wisdom, and realigns it. So simply by being in nature, going for a walk in nature, spending time in nature is enough to get through the cracks in the clouds and to reconnect to the wisdom of the soul that is always there. So taking that pause, taking that time outside, and particularly in our world that's so chaotic right now and so heavily dependent upon Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It's for my system, it's frightening to go into an apartment block and, what's your Wi-Fi number? And there's like 30 Wi-Fis zoning out the thing. And that is enough static to keep us disconnected. And the big thing that, if you look at the state of our planet and disregard and disassociation going on, it comes back to reconnection. How do we reconnect with ourselves, each other, and our environment? And it is to slow down, pause, and step out and go outside, go be in nature. And to be honest, it's something even people in offices should do every hour. Get up from the computer, from the Wi-Fi, unplug and put the body on the earth. And that, even just standing on the earth is enough for a few minutes, can reset the electromagnetic field or the piezoelectric field of our physical bodies and synergize them with the planetary body.
So barefoot on the grass in the front yard.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's not snowing, Michael, but I don't know if you want to be going barefoot in Colorado in the winter, but but that's I think that's it's doesn't have to be that difficult. It can be as simple as that, and so true. Wi-Fi is so prevalent these days, and I thought that's really good advice, and especially if you're in an office, you calibrate with the Earth's energy field every hour if possible. So, do you have a system or something that you tap into, Michael?
Animals
Yeah.
very quickly bring me back to ground, back to center. They don't have this frontal lobe thing that gets us in so much trouble. Um, yeah, they don't have the ego. They're not trying to accomplish things, and they're not hung up on performance and disappointment and guilt and all these other things that we get ourselves jammed up with. Ever since I was little, I've had animals, usually dogs, and there's just some if some people know, they get it. There's something else. There's something different. There's something more than can be explained, and that relationship with a human and an animal, for the ones who are deeply connected, brings something mystical, and there's grace there. No matter what you do, how your day is, there's just automatic grace. You don't need to step into the church to be forgiven, right? You're just accepted how you are, messy hair, whatever. None of it matters. So animals for me have always been a way in, birds, snakes, squirrels, rabbits, but mostly dogs.
Right. And you have two dogs?
I have one. I have a very smart, crazy Belgian Shepherd.
Okay. Right. Nice. Cool. And what's your dog's name?
Indigo.
Indigo. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing. And animals, amazing nature. It was yesterday with my partner. We went to a zoological park, and it's free. You just walk in, and they have a park where island where they have gibbons swinging across, and we're watching these gibbons just while sitting on the grass, connecting to the Earth's energy, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, animals, very accepting. I like that. And Ellie, I really noted it that in your chapter that you talked about releasing past conditioning and baggage, around religion and finding yourself. And it was almost like you had to peel back layers to understand who you were as a person. And that was really, it seemed like really tied to your inner knowing and that sort of the whole slowing down process.
Totally. Yeah. Well, it's been a process. So far, I always say, I count right now, it's 10 years since my awakening started. But then I go back and I'm like, this started from the moment I was born. There was a plan all along. But in 2016, when I started coming across these resources and all of this information, the first thing that I found it was very beneficial for me to go within and do the inner work was meditation. And I just cannot stress that enough, because it really changed my life. I mean, I had a chaotic mind. I was medicated for so many years for anxiety, for depression, and there was no medicine that could long term give me the mental clarity and the mental peace that I was looking for. And so when I tried meditation and I started seeing the benefits, it's still shocking to me that I have been not medicated for so many years, and it's not medicated and also not depressed. So it's not like I'm just taking it in. I'm not depressed. I overcame that part of myself, and the anxiety as well. But obviously, as any human, we always have those moments when um, life just gets a little more challenging, right? And for me, that is my practice. I just go in meditation, find that stillness. Many times when I need answers, I cannot remember an exact time right now where I sat down asking a question and wanting an answer, and it came through at that very moment. But I know those are the moments when the universe gets set in motion for me to get that answer, and not shortly after. I could be showering or walking outside or doing anything else, and the answer comes through. And so I believe that meditation it's just so important to find those moments of stillness. But also, I feel like our soul has a way to find those answers, um, sometimes unintentionally. And so, like I mentioned, in those moments where life gets challenging, and sometimes we're just feeling those heavy emotions and sometimes crying, in those moments, that information just comes to the surface on its own.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, our soul knows. But if you want to help the process, for me, that's meditation.
Yeah, nice. And congratulations on being off medications for such a long period of time. And I guess that was just a completely different version of the you that you are today. And who would have thought meditation? Uh, yeah, it's so easy. Close your eyes, focus on your breath, come back to your breath when you're thoughts pop in, and with consistency every day, it's a miracle worker. Yeah, ancient medicine. Leanne, on you're such an adventurer. You've just been like around the globe and all through Africa, and you just got back from Egypt, and like you're just a globe trotter. What is it that has drawn you to circumnavigate our beautiful planet?
I was born in Aotearoa at the end of
There
the
you
earth,
go. That
and
explains it all. That's in New Zealand, by the way.
yeah, Aotearoa, New Zealand, the end of the earth, and now it seems the beginning of the new one.
Okay.
And our mother inspired us to travel.
Okay.
And I thought I was going for a year or two when I was 20. And I only got called back here last year. That was 36 years of walking the earth. And some say looking for myself. I wouldn't say that at first. I was just having a good time. You know, I was a overland truck driver for a British overland company, hauling tourists through Asia, Africa, Middle East, and South America. Sleeping under the stars around campfires, drinking a lot of whiskey and wine, and getting taken to all of the major energy vortexes and sacred sites on our earth without realizing that was actually interconnected with my soul service I was to discover later in life. So that was kind of my first chapter of 9 years with no more than 6 weeks in one place. And then it opened the next chapter into Africa and wildlife and habitat conservation, environmental education, community outreach programs, safari guide training programs, community empowerment work, everything from doing dishes to darting wildlife. And it was one grand adventure, yet at the same time, I was deeply in nature, living in a national park, surrounded by wildlife, not knowing the gift it was and the teacher that nature is to us. And that taught me how to track. It taught me how to see what wasn't being seen, how to listen deeply. It taught me to be aware of shifts in energy. And it was a most extraordinary chapter of my life, which I am so deeply grateful for. And that was one of the hardest challenges, I think, when I started getting the nudges, you know, you're going to have to leave this. It's time. You need to go. And I'd lived the most extraordinary life, and I didn't know or couldn't see where I was going to. But what was happening is my soul had taught me how to master the practical magic of being in a body on the earth. Before I got my cosmic kick out of Africa, my conservation work, my 20-year relationship. And that junction is what my chapter is about in Your Inner Knowing. But out of that into our multidimensionality, to my soul work, my soul service, my planetary service. And it's been an enormous journey of discovery, which at the beginning, you know how you have blinkers on a horse? You can kind of shift a little bit at a time. I'm like, okay. And I was learning through experience, not from books, but through my own visceral and embodied experience, and through the red road path of remembering through the Andean and Amazon traditions of shamanism, of the four winds. So eventually I was like getting enough confidence, like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, chuck the blinkers away, teach me what I need to know in the time provided, and let's go. And that's when the adventure really started to accelerate and expand in realities dimensionally. And I'd literally say, slow down so I could integrate. They're like, bring it on, slow down. It's like, actually, I don't need to do it like this. Please teach me at the rate at which I can integrate. And you know, it's still going to this day. There's a magnificent adventure awaiting us when we step into that deep listening and wisdom of our soul, reconnect, realign, recalibrate with the divine.
And people may not realize like the extent of the difficulty of the transition that you went through. You almost died while in Africa as well. You had I guess a terminal illness that you were able to transcend, and it was quite a lot of different curveballs thrown your way. And you were saying before about the dark night of the soul that it would never end, and I guess that was kind of part of that for you.
Yeah, that was pretty much my first one. And I think that's why my word is surrender, coming from an upbringing and being a control freak of note, it took a lot of surrender. And it
Right.
literally took to, my brain stopped working, my body stopped working. And the whole system had to be rebooted. And I knew enough to know that I'd have to learn to walk in the world in a different way than I was. And I was open to that. And I stopped talking because I literally had no energy. I'd only speak if I needed to. And then what happened was we had a pet cheetah. We were living in Omo National Park in Ethiopia, and I had a pet cheetah who was lame and couldn't be set free. So he was our educational ambassador for our environmental project. And I was in the office at lunchtime. There weren't many people around. One of our staff members came in, walked in front of my desk and through the room and about to out the door. And I just turned around and said his name. And it wasn't loud or aggressive at all. But because I hadn't been speaking, the energy that came with Calvin, it like made him stumble. And then I was like, oh, what just happened? So I said what I needed to do. And then I just sat there thinking, what was that? And that was my first taste of what we are as a vibrational, energetic being in a physical body. If we start managing our energy and not squandering it.
I like that. I like it. And so leaking energy maybe through like constant scrolling or trying to do a zillion things at once.
Yeah, it's when that monkey mind can't stop. It's like a dog fetching a stick. All our thoughts, words, and actions contain energy. So when we become more mindful through meditation, whatever practice it is, and really choose consciously what we're going to invest our energy in, we are the creators of our reality. We are consciously or unconsciously creating our reality with every word, thought, and action, every single moment. And when we take responsibility for that, we know we have the power to change it. And we can shift from inner apology into inner authority in a very short space of time when we take that responsibility. And that is
Oh,
what it is to reclaim sovereignty on our earth right now.
cool. Inner responsibility. I like it. There's so much to unpack there. I was just wondering maybe if Michael wanted to speak into that a little bit as well.
Oh, I've always wanted a pet cheetah.
Yeah. Oh my God,
When
Calvin.
from the time I was little, it was my favorite animal.
Yeah,
So
me
I get all
too. Me
excited when
too.
she had a cheetah. Um, Again, this constant
Yeah.
returning to the earth, to yourself, to your body, to your spirit, to your soul, the constant changing, right? Continually moving on after periods of time. And I've reinvented myself so many times in my life, through due to curiosity, due to disappointment, due to, whatever it was. Always knowing there was more, but not knowing how to tap into my inner knowing when I was younger to just stop, just stop and allow. So anyway, Leanne, thank you for that. That was marvelous.
You'd
Yeah.
love it because cheetahs aren't actually a cat. They're closer to the dog family.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I met some when I was in safari in Southern Africa. It was really cool. In Namibia, in Tosha. It was really cool, amazing. And Michael, you were saying, like you mentioned in your chapter, and I find that there's a underlining narrative, particularly like in the book, and then also in this panel of authors from the journey of riches, you're in a knowing. Currently #1 in Sweden, #2 in Australia, #11 in the United States, climbing the charts. And it's so awesome. 99 cents on Amazon for the ebook, 15.50 for the paperback, or 9.99 for the Audible version. And it seems like there is a common thread that moving through some adverse situation or something that wasn't working, or there was like a message from the body or from outside environment saying, hey, you got to go within, the answers within. Can you talk into that, Michael? You did share a little bit into your chapter. I know that there's a phrase that you kind of use, like burn, baby, burn. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm really tapping deeply into right now, burning away the lies and the masks that keep us from ourselves. It could be, from again, from mother, father, teacher, preacher. We take on other people's ideals and make them turn them into identities for ourselves, and we don't even know we're doing it. Somewhere we think, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is who I'm supposed to be. So that's where the burn comes from. I want to burn it all down. So, but the experience that was my awakening was the death of my brother in 2017. He was the one man in my life that I could count on. So losing him was a big, and he was the only guy who like really knew me, the only person in my life that really knew me. So that was devastating for me. And it sent me into a rapid, deep grief, which just tore me in half, tore me open. But it was amazing what came from that and what I was exposed to by my last dog. He exposed me to energy healing. I had no idea anything existed like that. So that, yeah, it was just the most amazing experience. And yeah, so I love dogs. They're incredible.
You also developed your own like energy method.
Yeah, I studied many different modalities. I was voracious. So the first was healing touch for animals, and then Reiki, and then I studied with another Reiki master. Then there's Seiki Jutsu, Kinslow method, reconnective healing. I was just like, yeah, bring it on. Um, and what I realized was that it was more about resonance than the modality. What energy is energy. I can't change what it is or how it comes or how it moves. I can open more to it, but I realized that the more I could open all of this, I could just open a field or open the field for myself and others. I don't, ever propose that I can alakazam somebody and fix their knee or do anything like that. But I can open a field of potential for people. Um, And yeah, it's really interesting when I carry myself that way, people just come to me and start talking and sharing and they just want to be in that space.
It's nice. I like the humility in that statement as well, that when you open up the potential of that healing, the energy field of potentiality, that's really, yeah, empowering. And yeah, and just such an honorable way to mention that there's just this energy available to all of us, and that, you're able to be a conduit and open up that possibility of healing. It's really cool. Yeah, I did Jiki Den Reiki for a period of time. I mean, I do it every day on myself, but I learned that through, yeah, a number of different teachers, and they had that same humility. Yeah, something that we can open up to, not something that, well, I just healed someone. Oh my God, how good am I?
Yeah.
It's not that at all. Yeah,
I
but I
thought it
love it.
was though early on.
Yeah, yeah,
I
well,
thought that's what it meant to be a
yeah,
healer. Because
yeah.
my dad was a physician, my mom was a psychologist, and I thought this was an active thing, right? I would do this thing that would heal something else. And I didn't get it. And it was very externally focused. And when I learned to like, oh no, this I need to go here first. I need to come, I need to bring this back. It's not a thing to achieve. it's a thing to embody.
What a key distinction.
Yeah, but I was very confused about that early on. I thought, Michael, well, I I can do anything. I'm smart, I'm hardworking, and I can go do this thing. So yeah, pretty funny.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's yeah, it's nice that you can laugh at that old version of yourself. You know, you're not beating yourself up, or that's just the way it was, and you're able to, yeah. My parents were physicians. I mean, what choice did I have? Well, that's cool. No, I love that. And Ellie, are you able to speak into what we've been chatting? I mean, Leanne was sharing about her, yeah, Earth Walk, and then Michael, and
Well, if you can remind me a little bit of what the general topic, I had some things coming through about what Michael said, but I would like to go back about to the main topic where we started.
you inner knowing. Yeah.
Yes, well, definitely. Um, well, because when Michael was talking, I had this crazy memory of different preachers and people that I saw in church doing these crazy things to heal other people. And I remember this preacher hitting people with his shoe because that was the way that he was going to heal. Yeah. So I just had that come into my mind. And while it's funny, um, I think it is just so important to understand that first, we have to want to heal from something. It is not something that can be in a way imposed by other people. You have to seek your own healing and recognizing that you have the power to heal from whatever it is if you put in the work. So it is all about the inner work, the inner knowing, how to utilize, how to tap into your inner knowing, and then how to utilize that information to heal, to overcome, to walk life.
Mm. And that sounds like a heavy conditioning and a wonderful trigger from Michael too. Um, yeah, like I mean, someone going around church and donking people with a shoe, and I get that just being, yeah, that's just the way it's done. And I guess it's I just know from your previous chapter in the Journey of Riches series and follow your soul's calling that you grew up in very much a religious environment. I think your dad was a pastor at one point, and breaking free from that was so liberating for you.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So my dad is still a pastor.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so growing up in that environment, I see both sides today. I learned how to speak the language of faith and unconditional love since I was very little, and that is very, very important in the work that I do today. But it was a very restrictive environment, a very fearful, a lot of conditioning, a lot of this idea that God is just so ready to punish you for anything all the time. And so, because of that, things just didn't make sense for me since I was very little. I remember being 7, 8, 9 years old and asking people at church and asking my dad and my family, but how come God loves me if I'm being at a risk of being punished all the time? And nobody could answer the question in a way that was satisfying to me. And that's actually one of the things that triggered this awakening that I had when I was about to graduate from theology school in 2014 to become a minister. And through the studies that I did, those 4 years of study, I just learned so much and I realized things are just not the way I learned since I was little. And now I was seeing that with my own eyes, reading these books in theology and the history back in Jesus Christ times and understanding the history and what is really the meaning of those stories in the Bible that were misinterpreted and taught to me in the wrong way. And getting out of that mental space was probably the biggest challenge I've ever had. This, I mean, the amount of fear that I felt in that moment, thinking, I'm going to go to hell for questioning this. I mean, God is really going to punish me and send me to hell because I am questioning whether this is right or not. And it took me years to overcome the fear of even questioning. I remember it was a process of at least 3 years just to overcome the fear of questioning, to then be able to question more freely and starting to find answers. But it was equally rewarding now when I look in hindsight. Obviously, I don't regret anything in the process, and I can see how the reward has been equal or even more than what I went through to get here.
What a journey, peeling back the layers to get to the truth of it, the essence, and what a transformation from a God that punishes to a God that accepts you for who you are.
Absolutely.
Nice. And Leanne, any tips for someone that may be struggling to find that connection within themselves?
Well, first, well done, Ellie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Ali's was, the way she was programmed and conditioned through religious indoctrination, is that love is conditional.
Mhm.
And so long as we have the program of love is conditional, it will play out in all of our relationships with self, others, and our environment. And love is not conditional. Love is unconditional. Love is. And love is the very foundation of our embodiment and evolution. If we love ourselves enough, which was not the way we're programmed, because you have to put everyone else first and sacrifice yourself. But when we love ourselves enough that we will no longer compromise our truth, then that is a real course correct on our earth walk and our relationships and life. And doing that foundational work is absolutely vital. Our masculine through our patriarchal lineage, our feminine through our matriarchal lineage, our inner child. Once that trinity is back in place on a strong foundation of unconditional love, and we've got our bodies in alignment and our soul leading our earth walk, the whole ascension process is a process of descent, consciousness into body, and reconnection. And then it takes us down through our root, our base, our womb space, into our sexuality. Because if there's shame, fear, guilt, or trauma in our sexual centers, we won't ground, we won't land, we can't land. So we actually need to resolve all of that as well so we can come in deeper to the body. And the deeper we come, these animal bodies and their innate wisdom is absolutely extraordinary in leading us safely through the jungle, be that a earthly jungle or a concrete jungle or an internet jungle and everything that's going through cyberspace right now. These bodies are incredibly intelligent. And by reconnecting to them, we reconnect with our discernment. Not what we've been told or shown, but the absolute inner knowing and truth of our own soul in this body, on this earth, in this moment.
I like it. Yeah, it's unconditional love. And I really like thank you, Leanne. I like how Michael was sharing in his chapter about, he went from a period of being, like a juvenile delinquent to then having that connection and relationship with yourself and discovering that unconditional love through animals. Do you want to speak into that a little bit? Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. Man, so again, so fortunate in so many ways. I did anything I could to get attention when I was younger. I was seeking the validation, approval, acceptance, love of my father, which he was not able to give. It took me uh, more than 5 decades to figure that out. He wasn't capable of giving that to me. And sometimes the things I did were not the socially acceptable things. Um, but it didn't matter. I'd do anything to get that attention. Um, and I just, this continual process of abandoning myself over and over and over again because I thought I had to be other than I was to be approved of. I was absolutely insane. So, again, I can look back at that now and not beat myself up over it. And there's a lot to laugh about. And there's things I won't share on camera, but man, what a ride, right? Some of the experiences I had, some of the things I did. I did some crazy stuff. Um, and I had a hell of a lot of fun at times. I had a hell of a lot of fun. But yeah, this knowing that I can do hard things, that I can, no matter what change shows up in my life, I got it. Doesn't mean it's easy, right? But I've got it. I can do it. I can do whatever it is. I can do the thing. And sometimes I have to just, okay, yep, this thing showed up. We got to do the thing. We got to take care of it. Can't run from it because it's not going away. Um, I trust myself more now. Yeah, and learning to listen.
Yeah, what an empowering place to be. And of course, you reach back and you help other people do the same to find that inner peace within themselves and that self-acceptance and that place where they feel capable of facing that thing that, most of the time comes unexpected and, taking the hard road or taking the road of being responsible. That dovetails what Leanne was saying and also what Ellie was saying with the meditation as well. And that's an incredibly empowering place to come from as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Beautiful
But
share.
that in itself just brings a sense of ease and peace to my day, and I guess a confidence. Um, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I guess a certain degree of grace as well. There's just that there's something, higher as well, guiding intelligence and energy field that, yeah, you can experience. And I feel nature is that, as Leanne was sharing before, nature is such a good teacher of that. And what you were saying with your connection with your dogs. And
Yeah.
now your Belgian Shepherd Indigo.
Yeah. Oh, she's great. She's
Yeah,
nuts.
she's nuts. Cool. In the most delightful way, I'm sure. And yeah, that's awesome. And what about yourself, Ellie? Uh, how is it now that, like, what are some of the things that you help people with navigate to really come back home um, and get in touch with that inner knowing, that soul essence?
So at some point in 20, I believe it was 2020, when I had this, actually it was before that, doesn't matter. 2018, 2019. I remember I was watching a documentary. and it had many of the mentors that we know. There was Joe Dispenza, Mary Morrissey. It's still in Gaia. And I had this experience after I watched the whole documentary, and I was so moved and so touched by everything that I had learned in there, but also seeing them in that place of empowerment, sharing their life story to help other people. And I remember looking down and I said, man, it should feel amazing to impact the world in that way, and to be able to use your story and do something that also translates as a career. And I remember feeling that from a place of lack, because I didn't think that it would be possible for me. So in that moment, it was like, it should feel amazing, thinking that's not for me, but I'm happy for them. And then I heard this voice talking to me, and it said, you are one of them. And that was the moment when I knew that I was meant to also share my story and the way I overcame all of my difficult times to other people, so I could help them as well. And so I focused at that time, I started focusing more on the inner work and really overcoming my mind and really get to a point where I could be in that place of empowerment to then share my story and be able to impact other people. And so I made it my goal to be an example of what's possible, because I mean, we wouldn't have time right now to go through my whole story, but I encourage people to read both books so that so that you know the whole story. But growing up in the environment that I grew up, it wasn't only the fear, it was also the abuse. So it was the fearful environment, the restriction, the oppression. But then when I was left at home, I was being abused by my mom. So the person that was there with me all the time, because of her own shadows and her own mental illness, she didn't have the resources to deal with her emotional world. And that's the way that it came out for her. But that's my story. And it was also so many things. I grew up so poor, there was no bathroom in my house when I was little, and things like that. And so getting to a point where I'm sitting in this chair today and I think, man, I talk to people and I counsel people and I hear the feedback and they tell me, you've helped me so much. And it's not about taking the credit, it's about looking back and see what I overcame to get here, and to be able to transmit to people, if I could do it. And I know everybody says this, but just looking at my past and seeing, like I just mentioned, all the things that I went through, if I did it, really anybody can do it. Anybody can tap into that inner knowing, find your talent, find your gift, find your mission in life, and then use it to impact the world, impact other people.
I love that. That's awesome. That's what we're here for,
That's it.
right? That's it.
Easy.
Right.
Or how they say it's simple. It's not easy. It's simple.
Simple, right. Okay. Yeah, nice. That's it. That's it. And do your children get this? Like, do they have an understanding that mum's written a chapter in a book and it's about inner knowing? Do they have an opinion or an experience of their inner knowing?
You meaning my family?
Oh, yeah, because you have two children, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. I sort of
Yes.
thought they were yours.
I am actually blessed. I have two wonderful kids.
Boy and a girl.
I say this everywhere, and I believe they were, maybe I'm going too far, but I always say they were born awakened. So they understood a lot of things since they were little that would shock me. My son sometimes would have these dreams, and I remember when he was 4 or 5, and he would tell me about these dreams. And me thinking, I don't think you fully comprehend what's happening to you right now, but I could see it from my point of view. And my daughter, she's always been very mature um, for her age. And but we have these deep conversations. And even when she was 10, 11, we could talk about the work of Joe Dispenza, which is really deep. And so they've always been my supporters, my biggest cheerleaders. And oh, they definitely have a way to tap into their own inner knowing. I have done my best to teach them all these practices: visualization, um, frequency music, meditation for sure. And it is something that they practice. And they have, like I said, they have those ways to go within and tap into that and then use the knowledge.
Yeah, that's cool. And I saw that, I think it was last year or the year before, you went on a family trip to Costa Rica. Nice.
Yes, that was 2024,
Yeah, it's 2020.
August 2024. Such an amazing experience. I never thought that my first time go out of the country would be Costa Rica. And it just happened. I said, well, let me see if we can do this. And then I started searching and looking, and I said, well, it looks like it's possible. And we're definitely so glad we did. I mean, there's so much to enjoy there, but this connection with nature and to other people, it was just mind blowing. From the moment we stepped foot on earth over there on the ground, we felt that something was different. It was something different. And the energy of the people, the food that we were eating, every place, every beach that we visited, the whole energy there is so, so beautiful. To the point where we did like a little ritual the night before, or actually the morning of us traveling back. And we just couldn't hold our tears. We just didn't want to come back. It was so beautiful. We cannot wait to go back there. Yeah. Great experience.
Yeah, beautiful share. And Julie Bluen, who's also in your inner knowing, she was living there for a period of time, and I took a crew, locally sourced the crew, and we filmed her for the documentary that I made, The Gift in Adversity, in San Jose. I almost didn't get on the plane to San Jose because in Bangkok they're like, no, that's United States. That's not it's not Costa Rica. And I'm like, no, because they're like, you need to have an onward ticket out of the United States. And I said, yeah, I do. Like, this is my ticket right here to San Jose. They're like, no, she showed me on the map, San Jose in California. And I'm like, no, 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 San Jose is also the capital of Costa Rica. And she didn't know it was a country. And but yeah, the manager came over and we sorted it out, and I got on the plane. So yeah, I had an amazing time in Costa Rica as well. But it was pretty funny. So yeah, but it was really cool. Howler monkeys, and yeah, I mean it's got so many wonders. Yeah, so I saw I saw the photos with you and your children. I was like, they're tapping into something bigger than themselves. Yeah, it's kind of like food for the soul, and you can get out and explore other lands, and yeah, it's really cool. And it's a blue zone as well. A lot of Centurions in that part of the world. Yeah.
That is actually one of the reasons why I chose that place. I was debating whether to go there or San Jose because I also wanted to explore more of Central Costa Rica. But I am obsessed with the blue zones. And when I knew that was the blue zone, I just chose to go there. Just beautiful, beautiful. I remember one of the things that we observed, and we did this on purpose, is that people were out socializing and just experiencing different things and not on their phones. I remember me sitting down with my kids and saying, tell me when you see the first person on their phone. And we just couldn't find it. We actually saw some people on the street. They had this little table and they were playing games on the street. And we were fascinated. I said, wow, while that is so beautiful, it's kind of sad that we are fascinated by that experience and it's just not our daily life, right?
Right.
But definitely a lot to learn from them and their beautiful energy as people, and they everything that they have cultivated there.
Yeah, they definitely live in alignment with what
Mhm.
we're kind of like what we're all talking about, the inner knowing. And I remember just being down by the beach on one of those four-wheel bikes, and actually Julie was with me. We just did some sightseeing, and I was staying like nearby where she was staying, and Martin was staying nearby, and we were all sort of catch up and do stuff. You know, we went on a bit of an adventure on a four-wheel bike, and we're just admiring the beach view and chilling out. We saw these people that were getting coconuts from the trees. There's just, deserted beach, and there was just them and these coconuts. And I was looking, I was like, I would love fresh coconut. Is there a coconut near where we are? And lo and behold, they sort of came over, and I was sort of walking towards us. It's like, what are they doing? And they came over and they said, would you like a coconut? I'm like, oh my God, I love a coconut. That's exactly what I was just thinking. And I feel that that's when you're just in tune with your natural body essence, with your soul and just being, then everything you want just comes to you. And it was like this, I don't know, telepathic communication or what it was. But yeah, next minute I'm sipping on a coconut, and then they said, "We'll crack it open for you," and they just yeah, cracked it open, and then the woman actually did it. She chipped over a part of the coconut as a spoon, so I used that and scooped out the meat, and amazing experience. So it was really cool. Leanne, I imagine you've had amazing share, Ellie, and what an experience to give your kids. And I imagine, Leanne, you've had a lot of experiences like that where you've just, it's like effortless living and back to nature, and everything you want just sort of comes to you, or in the moment type living.
Yeah, it's a gift to be able to live in a flow state and to be able to have the tools to address it if we bump out of it
Mm.
so that we can restore that. When I received the transmissions for Earthwalk, it reconnected me to the earth and the grid system. And it was really interesting because that became my integrated way of being in connection. And it wasn't until years later, with a intimate personal relationship, which really triggered my emotional body, and it took me out of that connection. And as soon as it did, it was a really humbling experience, because I feel I'd forgotten what it's like not to be in living in that connection. And the first thing I did was literally took myself into nature. And it took me a few weeks to empty my emotional body, address it, feel it, express it all, and unpack all the energetics that were also entangled there and restore that connection. So it was a really beautiful and humbling experience. And that's when I got to the level of self-love that I would no longer compromise myself, my system, my truth in my earth walk, and therefore in my service. So it really accelerates our evolutionary journey then. And the other great gift, because I've walked so many lands with so many people, is it over time it makes us very culturally fluid. So I don't feel like I'm a stranger in a strange land. I can arrive into a different land and integrate into the community very easily, because I've been blessed with lots of different experiences, from sharing dinner in diplomats' households who are fundraisers for projects, or sitting in the dirt at Ethiopia with the 16 different ethnic groups that were at war with one another around us, under the shade of a tree, in meetings that took days. And it rubs off the roughness of our programs and conditionings in a gradual way. But to be able to release them what happens is oneness, unity consciousness is not just a concept, it becomes an embodied and integrated architecture of our own system and brings a pole shift within our own system that operates from a unified field of love.
I like that, and how those experiences of being culturally integrated and not and feeling one with the earth, doesn't matter where you are, what culture you're in, and how that rubs off the conditioning that you grew up with. That's really cool. I have never heard that expressed that way before. Yeah, that's really nice. Cool. That's great. We could just talk for hours. I think we've been talking for just over an hour now. Just mindful of everyone's time, and it's Monday here in Thailand and New Zealand. I think it's Monday lunchtime. I believe it's Sunday evening in United States, East Coast and Central Mountain Time. Any sort of last words or things that you would just love to share, about inner knowing, the book, maybe work that you do, anything at all that sort of springs to mind? Michael?
Yeah, I think well, we've touched on it before. Leanne mentioned it in surrender, and I'll repeat it in allowing.
Yeah.
No matter where you are in your life, that's exactly where you're supposed to be because that's where you are. Um, what you want for yourself and what your some of the comfort that you're willing to endure to change your life is worth it. But showing yourself the grace to do that through the process, because Ellie said it can be simple, but not easy. I think
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot of misinformation, maybe disinformation about how easy things are. These quick fixes, tips, tricks, hacks. Um, and that has not been my experience, so I can't speak to the silver bullets that people are looking for. I looked for them myself. I couldn't find any. But yeah, give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, um, and a lot of the healing things, modalities that I tried, people I sought help from in the healing, and it's become an industry. Um, they it's hard. I don't want to bash anyone, but it seems like there's a lot out there. They just want you to keep buying the books and keep taking the courses and and I just want to help people learn how to do it themselves, whatever that looks like for them. Create their own modality. Um, it's already in you. You just have to find the resonance for it. So, yeah.
I like that. It's already within you. You just got to find the resonance for it. And there's so many different ways. It can be through animals. It can be through energy work, through meditation, earth walk, cultural experiences, dark nights of the soul. Yeah, it's endless. It's really cool. Great for sharing, and awesome. It's just been such an honor to collaborate with you, Michael, and to publish your chapter. And I know readers can get so much from it. And of course, it's 99 cents on Amazon for the ebook, and paperback's 15.50. The Audible book's also available. All proceeds go to Jules Children's Home in the northeast of Bali, a place called Amnipura. And I found it just by chance. Second page of Google with this inner knowing, this meditation, a point of confusion. I was going out to feed the elderly people up in the hills during the pandemic, and I was just like, stop, no. And it was like a landslide. And I thought, I'll just go around. It was like, no. It was like a shrinking feeling in my heart. And I went home, and there's just this, through meditation and knowing that there was an orphanage nearby, which didn't make any logical sense at all because I was surrounded by fishing villages. There was just scuba divers and free divers, and that's it. And then lo and behold, I found this orphanage, and the woman came out and she said, "Are you here to answer our prayers?" And she had tears in her eyes. She could see the big bags of rice on my motorbike, 4 25-kilo bags, and I had some condiments in the inside of the seat. And then we went out, went shopping, and the kids, they had no food the next day. They run out of rice. They grow some food and things like that on their property, but it's of course seasonal. And the kids hadn't had ice cream for a month, so we brought them a huge big tub of ice cream. First thing they wanted was ice cream sandwiches, and they're just total. Yeah, they were lining up for seconds and thirds to have these buns, they're kind of like a hamburger bun with ice cream in the middle, and they loved it. They went mad for it. But it brought so much joy to see them and that happiness and the simple things sometimes. So yeah, and yeah, Ellie. Before we wrap up, was there anything that you wanted to share or?
I guess I want to encourage people who are going through challenges in life to keep going. And I know that sounds oversimplified, but there is a moment in life as you go through the process where you start vibrating more in coherence. And so life starts to flow better. And the whole purpose of that is that you feel better. A lot of times people are focused on what I'm going to get out there. So the house will make my life better, or more money, or a better job, or a better relationship is going to make my life better. And none of those things, when you approach them as external factors, are going to make your life better. It's really doing the inner work. And I am a strong believer that we are not supposed to do this alone. And this is why all of us are here and able and in the path to help other people who needs the guidance. And so I remember in my own process, so many times I needed somebody who would explore my mind. I remember thinking, I wish there was somebody who would know how to access this place in my mind that I cannot access myself. And so today, that's who I became, for myself first, and then to be able to help people in that way. And so we sit down, we have a talk. I see what you reflect to me based on what you are talking, and then I ask the right questions so that I can guide you to find your own answers and tap into that inner knowing, that inner power. And so if there's anybody who's listening to this and they want to get in touch, there's my website, it's elliesantana.com. You can find me on Facebook, Ellie Santana. I'm on Instagram, ellie.soulfriends. And there's an email on my social media as well. I'll be so happy to hear from anyone. And thank you, John. This was amazing. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome. It's an honor, and yeah, it's very humbling to publish so many amazing, empowering stories. You know, just yeah. I mean, there's so much wisdom to share and to tap into, and grab the book and open it at any page and read. I saw a video from Michael. He's receiving the book, and just the stillness and the sound of just holding the book. It's just beautiful, and yeah, and I love that call to action too, Ellie. It's really, yeah, just so authentic. Share and just yeah, reach out and ask Ellie. And Soul Friends on Instagram or elliesantana.com, the website, and yeah, reach out, have a chat, start a conversation. I know Michael does those sort of things as well, and yeah, I know, yeah, Leanne as well. So just wrapping up, Leanne, any last thoughts, words to share?
You are your own best healer.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Breathe that
wisdom.
in.
Yeah, and the wisdom
Butterfly
lies
hug.
within.
Andy was talking the other day, butterfly hug like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
I
your
love
own best healer. The wisdom lies within.
it. Yeah.
And I guess after 20 years experience, I've actually created an online program, self-paced at your own pace, with very simple preparation instructions to address the core pieces or core woundings of our foundation of embodiment. There's 8 shamanic journeys there, The ones I spoke of, aligning the physical, mental, emotional body with soul, is actually free, and it's on there to access through earthwalk.global website, online programs. And that foundational work is beneficial for people who are beginning in their journey, as well as those that have been quite far into their journey, because I take people through that to the next level of it in my 9-month Mastery of Multidimensionality program for advanced practitioners and facilitators that is opening in March. So in literally 6 weeks from now, we're beginning Mastery of Multidimensionality. And I work one-on-one with advanced practitioners and facilitators who have plateaued on their embodiment and evolutionary journey. They've reached the glass ceiling, and their system and soul is asking for the next level of their embodiment, evolution, recalibration into their galactic architecture, and integration into the planetary field and their soul service and missions and projects that are wishing to land on our planet now, which is interconnected with the incoming children who are landing in their galactic and universal architecture. Because they have landed in it, we can calibrate up to ours and reinstate ourselves in our full architecture now. And it's absolutely extraordinary, the opportunities that are unfolding. And
Amazing.
yeah,
Sounds
it's
cool. Does it
it's
come
an
in an ice cream
incredible time.
flavor? Well, that intergalactic connectedness ice cream. Put it on a scoop, and there's one for you, one for you, and one for you.
It is. And, as Ali said, whatever's happening now, and it could be whatever shape or form or emotion, know that this too will pass. So by letting go, non-attachment, we tend to become more of a rolling stone on the journey home to self and what lies beyond. And I want to thank you, John, for the invitation to be here today with Michael and Ali, and this opportunity to actually put one of my stories onto paper. And it's really interesting because it's at such a junction in my life. There's a book before and a book afterwards or two. And really curious on what will grow from this seed. So thank you.
No, it's an honor, and yeah, it's great to connect with you guys as well on this call and in the book. And it's been an incredible journey over the last like 8, 6, 7 months. And yeah, now to have readers reading it, and yeah, it's really, really cool. And feels like it's just the beginning. And yeah, I just really appreciate your trust. Yes, Michael.
I wasn't sure if I was ready to put this out there yet, but after listening to Ellie and Leanne, I wanted to mention I'm actually creating a community
Nice.
based around my work with being real. It's called the Real Me Life, and that should be launching very soon. So whoever you are, wherever you're at, if you want to get into whatever you're willing to get into, you want to be real as insert your own dirty word. You can be real. Yeah. Come play. Misfits, outliers, outcasts, welcome.
Okay, nice. And is there a website where people can go?
Yeah, so therealmelife.com.
Nice. Realmelife.com for you, Michael, and it's earthwalkglobal.com for Leanne, and it's Ellie.
Earthwalk.global.
Earthwalk.global. Okay, nice. Earthwalk.global, and elliesantana.com. So love of light, peace, love beings, mung beings, and a yoga mat. Awesome. Have a great one, guys. Peace out. Love y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. See you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.
Aroha nui.